The April Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is coming soon, and if the Switch 1's January 2017 presentation was any indication, this is going to be a huge blowout of games for this console, on top of showing what the console is capable of. So I think it's fair to have higher expectations than usual, as we are likely going to see multiple heavy hitters here of games releasing either this year or even early next year. So in this video, I'm going to dream of some dream games that I would be ecstatic to see in the upcoming Nintendo Direct. Not all of these games are likely, but I think it would be fun to think of ideas, since we really have no idea what is going to be shown here aside from Mario Kart and Metroid Prime 4. But I won't be alone, as several other amazing Nintendo YouTubers will also be dreaming of their dream games as well. But before we get started, Prince Dreambird has to help us enter the dream world. Hey Dreambird, prepare the dream portal.
Alright, I have it ready. Get ready to dream like you never have before.
Okay, let's get started. My first dream game is one that I think is very possible for this April Direct. Luigi's Mansion 3 was a surprisingly successful game, selling over 14 million copies, more than both Mario Maker 2 and 3D World, so it's likely gonna get a new game very soon. Plus, Next Level Games haven't released a new game in nearly 3 years, and their last game, Mario Strikers Battle League, was a relatively small title content-wise. Like, there was barely anything in that game. So they've likely had more than enough time to work on a new Luigi's Mansion game. For what this game could be like, I think it would be cool to have another themed setting like Luigi's Mansion 3. Rather than a haunted hotel, it could be something like an abandoned town with different buildings having the different objectives. There could be an abandoned mall, a school, a hospital, and of course, a mansion. All of this would be contained within one seamless world. While I don't think every series needs to be open world, I think this game could make everything interconnected without making it feel too massive for a Luigi's Mansion game. I'd also like to see the Portico-style characters return, as they added a lot of personality to Luigi's Mansion 3 that was missing from 2. I'd also like to see the art style go in an interesting direction for this game. Luigi's Mansion 3 looked absolutely incredible, and is one of the best looking games on Switch, so I think Next Level Games could cook up something spectacular for the Switch too. Basically, I think this game could go in a similar direction as Mario Wonder, Mario Kart 9, and the Mario RPG remakes, and take a lot of influence from the older games. Luigi could look like his more wacky N64-esque design from the original game, and the wacky exaggerated style from the original game with that semi-realistic edge to it, but with the cartoony expressions from 2 and 3. I just think that there's a lot that they could do with Luigi's Mansion 4, so I really hope it happens soon or is announced in this Direct.
Hello everyone, it's me, Gold Connor. I would like to thank Reese for allowing me to join him for this special video of us predicting on what we would like to see during the Switch 2 event. And man, when it comes to like a brand new Nintendo console, there are so many possibilities you can think of. Like, we were talking non-stop about this small little glimpse on what the next Mario Kart's going to be like. And while there are some games I really do want to see, like a new Luigi's Mansion and especially a new Yoshi game, what I think I'm very antsy to see is the next 3D Mario game, because I love the Mario series and I love a lot of the spin-offs we got over the past years, but nothing comes close to a new 3D Mario game for me. And so why not, since everyone's basically predicting it at this point, I'm predicting that the next 3D Mario game might be an open world. Now, back then I was usually on the side about how would that even work, but the more I think about it over the years, the more I realize that could actually be a really cool idea. I mean, 3D Mario was always about exploration, so putting Mario in one big open sandbox with a lot of cool collectibles and platforming fits naturally well, especially since it would be a cool way to breathe in new life to the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, we've had millions of Mario games that set place in the Mushroom Kingdom, but we never had a game where we can truly explore the Mushroom Kingdom, excluding some RPGs. Like, imagine a 3D Mario game where you can explore the entirety inside of Peach's Castle like in 64, and if you run all the way out there, you can find yourself in Toad Town, which is this massive place full of NPCs. And there, you can basically explore wherever you want in the Mushroom Kingdom, like if you want to go to the desert areas or the snowy plains, or you can walk from Peach's Castle all the way to Bowser's Castle. Like, I get the idea of Nintendo doing a Breath of the Wild equivalent with Mario sounds a bit silly, but the more you think about it, it does have really cool potential. Plus, since we're going from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2, which has been said to be arguably one of the biggest leaps when it comes to Nintendo console ever, it would be a cool opportunity to showcase what the Switch 2 could truly do. And the best way to do so is, of course, with a 3D Mario game. Or unless they want to do a 3D Yoshi game, that would be cool.
Hey everyone, I'm Odyssey Central. With the Switch 2 on the way, there's only one game on my mind. One game that I want more than anything else they could possibly announce. ARMS 2. Super Mario Odyssey 2, or at the very least, just a new 3D Mario game. Mario Odyssey released all the way back in 2017, so we've been waiting a very long time for an entirely new 3D Mario game. Sure, we got Bowser's Fury, which was great, but that was definitely a lot smaller of an experience. Now me personally, I would just love to straight up get a direct sequel to Odyssey, like my arch nemesis Galaxy got. However, with how long it's been, I'm starting to doubt that'll happen. Luckily though, I'd be pretty on board with any new 3D Mario game so long as it does a few things. For one, I want it to be in the style of Odyssey and 64. I much prefer the collectathon style to the linear style. Now granted, I do still like the linear games like 3D World. In fact, I'd say 3D World is my third favorite 3D Mario game, but after all this time, I definitely want another collectathon. Now I know a lot of people didn't like the number of moons in Mario Odyssey. Those people are stupid. I want this game to be just as, if not bigger than Odyssey. I love having a ton of collectibles because it always gives me something to do. Same for games like Tears of the Kingdom with its Korok seeds. If I've waited this long for a new 3D Mario game, I want it to last me quite a while. Odyssey took me about 50 hours to 100% on my first playthrough, so that's what I'm hoping this new game can shoot for too. On top of all that though, they really need to nail the movement here. The reason I love Odyssey so much is because it has the best feeling movement in any game I've ever played. It's so much fun to just run and jump around in the kingdoms, and I think this new game has to match that for me to like it. It's one of the main reasons I don't love Galaxy, because it's got the worst movement of the 3D Mario games. If it's not Odyssey 2, it's definitely going to be tough to accomplish without Cappy there, but I'm hopeful they can find a way. As for some smaller things, I would love for costumes to come back along with the life counter still being dead. It'd also be cool if there was some actual multiplayer in this game. It's not essential for me, but if we can actually get 3D World level multiplayer in a collectathon game, that'd be pretty cool. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say. Luckily for me, I think a new 3D Mario game is pretty likely this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like. Dry Bones should also be playable. Dry Bones for Smash.
My next dream game is something that I've been wanting for quite a while. We have gotten many Kirby games on the Switch, and I think the Switch 2 will definitely follow in its footsteps. But before we get a new mainline game, likely next year, I think it's possible that we could get a new spin-off game. One that comes to mind is Kirby's Air Ride. I think it would be amazing to see a follow-up to this game, as it's one of the most underrated Kirby games in my opinion. While it is a fairly solid racing game, where this game really shines is in its city trial mode. Basically, you and 3 other players try to look for upgrades or fight each other for upgrades in the big open map, also finding machines as well. Then compete with each other in a variety of events. I would love to see this mode expanded upon in a sequel, with new maps, new copy abilities, more players, and of course, an online mode. This would be an excellent online game to release shortly after the Switch 2 launches, as there would be a lot that they could do. And knowing how Modern HAL packs games with tons of content and fan service, we could see a wide roster of characters, including Magolor, Adeline, Ribbon, Marx, Susie, and the Beast Pack from Forgotten Land. And the racing maps and city trial maps could also reference different locations from across the series as well. Seeing the city from the first area of Forgotten Land be made into a city trial map would be amazing. And even though this is a racing game and could compete with Mario Kart, I don't really think that's an issue, since I feel like the gameplay is different enough from Mario Kart to stand out. So I think Kirby's Air Ride 2 would be an excellent game to see if we got anything Kirby related in this Direct.
The Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct is approaching us at maximum speed, and with my dream game, it's quite fittingly all about speed. It's also fittingly a dream game, considering that it's been so long without a proper new entry that it seems like just a dream. With all that being said, my dream game for the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct is none other than a new F-Zero. My introduction to the series, believe it or not, was the elusive arcade F-Zero AX. It's very similar to F-Zero GX. The main difference with it being an arcade game is that there are only 6 tracks and the machine tilts, so you actually feel like you're driving the Blue Falcon while you're playing the game. It is easily the most exhilarating arcade game I've ever played. But my favorite game in the series is of course F-Zero GX. There is so much content. It is so much fun, and it's exhilarating. F-Zero is not for the faint of heart. It's all about track memorization, memorizing where the booster pads are, and memorizing when to boost. The thing with a game like Mario Kart is that there's an element of luck. You could always get a hold of a blue shell, throw it at the player in first place, and you have a chance of getting first place. There is an element of skill, but F-Zero is purely skill-based. F-Zero GX is one of the hardest games of all time, but every time I play it, it is such an engaging experience. There's a lot of trial and error, but as I play it more and more, getting more skilled at the game is so rewarding, and I feel like with Nintendo games nowadays, we don't see things like F-Zero GX anymore. The closest thing I can think of to a game that tests your skill is Metroid Dread, but I would love to see Nintendo make a new entry, or even just a remake of F-Zero GX, though considering how much time has passed, I think a new entry would be the way to go. Just imagine playing F-Zero in 4K, at 60 frames per second. It could be a technical showcase for the Nintendo Switch too. I think that it's likely we could get a new entry as well. Nintendo released F-Zero 99 about 2 years back. That game is way better than I ever could have imagined. And they put all the F-Zero Game Boy Advance games on Nintendo Switch Online. So the future is looking bright for the series. But in the meantime, I don't think Nintendo's going to reveal it in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Mostly because of another racing game. And with F-Zero, I don't think they'd want Mario Kart overshadowing it despite the two series being drastically different. But hey, if Nintendo needs more development time to spare in the meantime, Reese and I will be happy to make a smaller game for you. It is called Motel 6 vs Super 8. The reviews of each will show up, and you have to guess between what's the review, a Motel 6 review or a Super 8 one. Thank you, Reese, for having me, and as always, keep calm and dada on.
The Switch became the home of plenty of Dream games since it started. The biggest Smash Brothers, all the Dream newcomers it got, the biggest and most ambitious Zeldas, the most amount of Mario games to go around, the system that revived Metroid 5 and gave us Metroid Prime 4 eventually, and plenty of other big moments for a lot of franchises. I'm kind of expecting Switch 2 to do the same, or at least continue some of that amazement, and of course I have some Dream games of varying realistic viability. I got Thousand Year Door actually getting remade on Switch, so hoping the next new Paper Mario on Switch 2 would take more cues of RPG elements and creativity in the character's presentation, writing, and story from Thousand Year Door isn't unrealistic anymore. The fact I could genuinely say it's realistic now is kind of insane. But other than that, a new sandbox 3D Mario, which is pretty much a given, Mario & Luigi 7, ARMS 2, and the next new Smash Brothers keeping up Ultimate's roster, mainly expanding on it from there. The only pie-in-the-sky dream game I want is Kid Icarus Uprising on Switch 2. A new game would also be amazing, but even I would take just a remaster of my favorite 3DS game, of an even more niche series than all the ones mentioned. The franchise deserves way more recognition just from Uprising alone, and its only hurdle and flaw people had with the original would instantly get rectified putting it on a home console. Assuming the rumors of mouse support are true, then sure, everyone says Kid Icarus Uprising HD is possible, but it's not like a normal button layout wouldn't suffice significantly better from the 3DS's control scheme. One stick to move, the other stick for the cursor and partial camera control, right trigger for shooting, left trigger for super attacks during the flying sections, the face buttons for the powers, the D-pad and left and right shoulder buttons for the camera. Like a normal control scheme, a gyro control scheme, mouse control scheme, regardless of whatever control scheme, that would be inherently better than 3DS's. One of Nintendo's most charming masterpieces should not be left on 3DS to rot. With its peak cast of characters, excellent writing, fantastic story, fantastic on-rail shooting, solid third-person combat, great graphics for the 3DS, great multiplayer, and fantastic soundtrack, Uprising is begging to be given a second chance in the limelight for a much bigger audience to understand the appeal and potential Kid Icarus has. Stay super.
It has been 17 years since the last game in the Wario Land series, so that is why a new game in this series is another one of my dream games. Wario Land is an excellent series, with its gameplay being very unique compared to Mario platformers, and each game in the series also feeling very distinct. Wario Land 2 and 3's non-linear progression is very creative, while Wario Land 4 and Shake It's more linear formula where you have to dash back to the level entrance to complete the level before it blows up is excellently designed. In fact, it is so good that 2 indie games, Pizza Tower and Anton Blast, use that formula, and they are absolutely incredible. And those games definitely highlight the demand for a new Wario Land game. Nintendo doesn't really have any modern games to offer that are comparable, so I think now is the time to bring it back. For its structure and formula, while it would be nice to see 3's return, I think it would make more sense to bring back 4's. It is more popular, and is also the direction that Shake It, Wario Land's previous attempt at a comeback, went with. I think it would also be nice to see some returning characters as well, like Captain Syrup, Mad Scientine, and Princess Shokora. For a developer, while it would make sense to have Goodfield develop it, as they did develop Shake It, they might be busy with other projects such as a new Yoshi game or a sequel to Peach Showtime or Bakaru. That's why I think it would be outsourced to another developer like WayForward instead. They've already made a Wario-like series with Shantae, so I think it would be great if they did that. Honestly, a Wario Land and Shantae crossover in a similar vein to Cadence of Hyrule would also be cool. Even a Pizza Tower and Anton Blast crossover with Wario. I might be getting a bit ahead of myself there, but I would still love to see a new Wario Land game in any form.
Ahoy! I'm Triss, also known as Toon Triss. I'm a content creator with a pretty big focus on Nintendo games, making lots of analyses and speculative videos, among many other different kinds. When I think about a dream game that I'd love to see in the April Switch 2 Direct, it's hard to find just one to talk about. Do I settle for a port of Wind Waker HD, optimistically hope for a teaser of a brand new Super Smash Bros., or cross my fingers for a first look at a brand new Paper Mario game that follows in the footsteps of the Thousand Year Door? Well, if we're really talking dream ideas, I want to see an ambitious new Zelda spin-off game, with the Wind Waker or at least Toon Link art style. Something that the Zelda series has never really done before, maybe even something experimental, but something that we can look at and say, oh, that's pretty cool. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker was originally proposed as a game starring Link, so maybe some sort of puzzle game. It could even be a tech demo-like game for new features of the Switch 2. If you wanted to make it make sense in Zelda lore, I'd even be fine with it being a post-Tears of the Kingdom Zelda game, featuring Link, Zelda, and Purah, testing out a new Purah-Pad 2 or something. I don't know. I just think we're due for a new, interesting Zelda spin-off, and the puzzle genre can offer some pretty interesting new ideas. But realistically, I'll take any sort of Zelda spin-off. I think there's a lot of untapped potential there, that Mario's done a ton of spin-offs, and Zelda hasn't really done that many beyond, like, Link's crossbow training, Hyrule Warriors multiple times, and My Nintendo Picross for Twilight Princess. Of course, there's a bunch of Zelda games that feel like spin-offs but are treated like main games, Triforce Heroes, but I think it'd be really cool to get an actual new Zelda spin-off game, something that Nintendo just hasn't really done before. There's a lot of ideas that could make it work, and showing that off in the Switch 2 Direct would be a really cool way to launch the new console and still have a new Zelda game early on.
Xenoblade has had an excellent lineup of games on the Nintendo Switch, each being more impressive than the last. But like Kirby, I think it would be nice to see a spin-off before the next mainline game. And the thing is with Xenoblade, it's never gotten the proper spin-off before. Characters from the series have appeared in spin-offs like Project X Zone and Smash, but Xenoblade has never truly had a side game. Even Xenosaga got a few spin-offs, but Xenoblade still hasn't. That's why I think it's the perfect time to get Xenoblade Kart. No, I'm just kidding. We should get Xenoblade Warriors. Just like Zelda and Fire Emblem, Xenoblade would be the perfect fit for this type of game, as there's a ton of characters that they can make playable. I know Xenoblade is no stranger to connecting the games together, with that being the whole point behind 3. It would still be cool seeing the characters interact in a Warriors-style game. The general aesthetic of the series would work really well for a Warriors game, even better than something like a Super Mario Warriors game. They could even include different mechanics for certain characters, Like Rex, Pyra, and Mithra could have a Blade-esque gimmick, Elma could have the Skell, and Noah and Mio could have Ouroboros. They could even include different locations from the series, like Gower Plains, Nagana's Field, Primordia, Uriah, and Sword March. This would be an amazing way to celebrate the series, so I really hope this happens at some point.
Hello Reese viewers, and thanks for giving me a brief moment to ramble about my dream game that I would like to see announced during the Switch 2 Direct. Going by my channel's name, it shouldn't come as a surprise which title I'm particularly looking forward to. Resident Evil. It's actually Mario Maker 3, a fairly safe bet and almost guaranteed to appear at some point during the Switch 2's lifespan. Mario Maker 2 is still my favorite game on the first Switch, and I would gladly welcome a level editor for any series Nintendo chooses. However, while a third installment seems like a safe assumption, my dream Mario Maker 3 would introduce the ability to create fully three-dimensional courses as its major selling point. Mario Maker 3D, so to speak. The second title already expanded on the original concept with so many new ideas that it essentially perfected what an official level editor from a major publisher can offer. While there's always room for more and the possibilities are endless in a game like this, at this point a few clever additions might please dedicated fans but won't be enough to convince the general audience to buy a fully priced new entry, especially when Mario Maker 2 is still accessible on the Switch too. It's widely assumed that the successor didn't quite meet Nintendo's financial goals, so they would need to introduce a major feature that stands out on the retail cover. A 3D toolbox would fit the bill, and contrary to popular belief, it's not nearly as complex to implement as it may seem. Game Builder Garage, for instance, offers far more complex mechanics while maintaining a surprisingly accessible interface for players with no game development experience. Recent fan creations like Mario Builder 64 further prove that execution is key, and that this concept is well within the realm of possibilities. By incorporating interactive tutorials similar to those in Game Builder Garage and leveraging the Switch 2's rumored mouse functionality, the game could address concerns about unintuitive controls. In handheld mode, players could even tap a Joy-Con against the Switch 2 to quickly delete large sections of a level or rearrange objects with ease, and if the Switch 2 supports cross-screen functionality, streaming part of the game to a TV while playing in handheld mode, it could bring back the dual-screen control style many players miss from the Wii U. Super Mario 3D World serves as the ideal template due to its straightforward controls and relatively simple level geometry. In fact, the game features such an impressive numbers of levels that it's hard to believe the developers didn't use some kind of internal toolkit to streamline the design process, given that the original Super Mario Maker started with the same premise, an internal level editor for 2D courses that eventually evolved into a fully fledged game. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a similar transformation happen here.
Okay, this is a very wacky idea for my next dream game, but hear me out. A TT Games Lego Mario game. I know it sounds crazy, but I think it could actually work. Mario is no stranger to crossovers. Look at Mario and Sonic, and Mario plus Rabbids. Lego Mario is also a successful line of Lego sets, getting regular releases every few months. I think it would be a perfect fit. Nintendo also likes to do crossovers with certain developers that are known for certain gameplay styles. Look at Hyrule Warriors, Pokken Tournament, or DDR Mario Mix. It's also been quite a while since TT Games have announced a new Lego game, so this could be a possible thing that they've been working on since the release of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. I think the gameplay could be pretty interesting, as they could combine core elements from the LEGO games, but they could also have a heavier emphasis on platforming like Mario. Maybe you could build things like carts to traverse the world, or platforms, or there could be different locations from different Mario games as well. It could also have a potentially massive roster of playable characters, so they can include a lot of obscure Mario characters, like ones from the RPGs, Luigi's Mansion, and Wario. The only weird thing about it is that they would have the weird LEGO Mario designs, but I think they could find some way to make it work. Alternatively, they could introduce minifigure designs and release new LEGO Mario sets with minifigures alongside this game. And another thing is that Nintendo has worked with TT Games in the past, with LEGO City Undercover being an exclusive for the Wii U. So I think it is definitely possible that they could do something like this. So I think it would be amazing to see a Lego Mario game, even though it sounds kind of weird.
Hey guys, it's Anton Retro, and for my dream game, I'm going with Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, or well, a Nintendo Switch Sports sequel. Wii Sports Resort is one of my favorite games on the Wii, but Nintendo Switch Sports didn't quite live up to it. So imagine a brand new Nintendo Switch Sports game that has a lot of content in it, including games from across the series, or maybe even all of them, as a Wii Sports or Nintendo Switch Sports Ultimate. This game would be fully complete from the get-go. I wouldn't mind if they add DLC to a game, but at least make the game finished before you do that. Now, a Nintendo Switch Sports Resort would need to take full advantage of the Nintendo Switch 2's improved technology, as the Joy-Cons are way better than the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. They're less clunky and are way more comfortable to hold. But one thing that I hope happens, and I think we all want this, is that sports mates should be sidelined in favor of Miis, or ideally an upgraded Mii system that allows for more customization, similar to how Miitopia did it. But one of the best parts about Wii Sports Resort was Woohoo Island, and bringing it back in a modern way would be amazing. But rather than relying purely on nostalgia, this new version would evolve the island into a massive, interactive hub, and online play should be a major focus, like it was in Nintendo Switch Sports, allowing players to compete in ranked matches, team up with friends, and even explore Woohoo Island together. And it could be a different island, it doesn't have to be Woohoo Island. It's just that I think it'd be cool to bring it back. It's possible that Nintendo Switch Sports was more of a test run, something Nintendo didn't have much confidence in. But despite its flaws and short development cycle, it sold extremely well, which means there's potential for a follow-up that's truly incredible, as the market is still there for those kind of games. So a proper sequel that builds on the best elements of Wii Sports Resort, while embracing the modern advancements that Nintendo Switch Sports made, could be an amazing game. I could have gone with something a bit more out there, like a Chibi Robo remake, but I wanted to keep my pick within the realm of possibility. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me on, Reese.
Hey everyone! I'm Albert Boris. So, when it comes to my most wanted game on the Switch 2, the answer was admittedly really hard to come up with, because there are a lot of series that I want to see make a comeback on here, whether it's F-Zero, Donkey Kong, Quest for Glory, or Wario Land. But admittedly, at the top of my list has got to be Tomodachi Life 2. Probably not a surprise if you've watched my Switch 2 videos in the past, but I always just loved the idea of having your own island and then inviting your own Mii characters to move in and live their lives on it. It's an incredibly personal game, which makes the interactions between characters all the more funny and hilarious at times. So just please give this to us again, Nintendo. I don't even care if a second game plays the exact same, I just think it deserves another chance to be in the spotlight. And that's why I want Tomodachi Life 2.
Finally, my last dream game is one that may seem impossible, like this probably isn't ever gonna happen, but I don't think it hurts to mention it here since it is one of my dream games. I know this is straight up cope, but a Mother 3 remake, yes, I'm going there. It just makes so much sense. We probably won't get any new Mother games since Itoi completed his vision of the series, but I don't think it would hurt to get a remake of one of the Mother games. Mother 3 just makes so much sense to me as it would be the perfect way to release the game in the West. They could always adapt it in a way where Nintendo would be okay with releasing it. Reggie has stated in the past that the contents of the game weren't a problem, so the game really wouldn't have to be censored much, if at all, for it to keep its original vision. Just imagine how exciting it would be for them to drop this trailer in the middle of the Direct. It would be absolutely insane, and I think it would even top the Thousand Year Door Remake's announcement. It would be the perfect way of selling the system to longtime and hardcore Nintendo fans. It would fully cement the idea that Nintendo does care about the fans. And basically, my idea for how this remake could look is like Curio-Matic's fan animation, a style akin to the Link's Awakening remake or Super Mario RPG that adapts the original sprites into toy-like 3D models. But it would look even more expressive and detailed to showcase the power of the Switch 2. I don't necessarily think they're gonna straight up go for like readapting Earthbound 64 and making that into a full game, because that might take a little too much work, and that would basically be a different game at that point. So I think they're probably going to stick to just adapting Mother 3 faithfully, like the GBA version, if they ever remake Mother 3. And also, please check out that fan animation that I mentioned. It's absolutely incredible, and I'll put the link down in the description. So anyways, those are our dream games. While some are very unlikely, we really don't know anything that will be announced in this direct, so it's still fun to speculate about the best possible scenarios. And I would like to thank all of the amazing YouTubers for joining this video. Make sure to check out their channels linked down in the description. Oh yeah, Dreambert. Thank you, Dreambert, for letting us enter the dream world.
No problem, Reese. But wait, before you end the video, I wanted to tell you about a dream announcement for the Nintendo Direct.
What is it?
Add me to the new Mario Kart game, you cowards!
#Dreambert for Mario Kart. Post it in the comments down below.